It's time to be honest with ourselves. I can't be the only one who gets an emulation device such as the Retroid Pocket 5 or the RG35XX. Also includes stuff like modded 2DSs, 3DSs, DS Lites. It looks like I'm just showing off my handheld collection, and I kind of am. But how many of you load up these devices with emulator upon emulator, game upon game upon game, and you never actually play them? You might play 5. You might have your favourites, or the odd game you never played as a kid that you want to play now. That's happening with me with Metal Gear Solid. Now, I'm making this video on the back of a comment I got on one of my recent videos, which really stuck with me, because it's true. And if we took a deep, long, hard look at ourselves, I think we'll all realise that we're all a bit guilty of this. It said, I'm not sure why everyone must configure all systems. This is relating to me setting up the Retroid Pocket 5, following Joey's Retro Handheld guide, setting up every single platform on there. It says you don't have to do this to start using the device. You are allowed to start the device using it with one system to start playing. LOL. Loving the throwback of the LOL. This is beyond true. You've no doubt seen crappy handhelds. Sometimes the RG35XX is on there, even though it's a fantastic emulation device, on places like TT, let's call it, selling them with 10,000 plus games, 15,000 plus games. And people lap it up. They absolutely love it. But what is this compulsion to set up every single possible device known to people since existence to put on a handheld? Example. Here is my Retroid Pocket 5. On here, I followed Joey's Retro Handheld guide and I added pretty much all the major home system platforms as well as the handhelds. So we have, going all the way to the start, Atari 2600, Dreamcast, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, GameCube, Sega Genesis aka Mega Drive, Master System, N64, Nintendo DS, Nintendo Entertainment System or NES, PS1, PS2, PSP, PS Vita, SNES or SNES, the secret console as people call it, the Switch, come on, let's grow up, and the Wii. Now, if you're looking at the video, hopefully you can see it. I am filming this top-down view off my camera, and it tends to go blurry from time to time, so sorry about that. You'll see on here, Atari 2600. I've got 9 games on there, right? All the classics. Asteroids, Donkey Kong, Double Dragon, Frogger, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Ms. Pac-Man. Why have I got them on there, though? Because I'm never going to play them. It's almost as if finding ROMs, downloading them, adding them to a system, and seeing them on there is a game in and of itself. And that's fine. I do like tinkering with these devices, but it's sometimes at the expense of actually playing the damn thing. And I'm sure there's a few of you watching that are guilty of that as well. It's this must set up everything mentality. It's almost like a flex. But I don't know who I'm flexing that to. Is it you? Is it my missus? She doesn't care. Do I care? I don't know. There is something compelling about setting up a device. Maybe it's a sense of achievement. And you're thinking, maybe I wanted to be in IT as a kid, and this is the closest thing I can get. But regardless, if we go back to here, you can see that we have Dreamcast. Now, with the Dreamcast, I've been more reserved. I've only got 3 games on there. Crazy Taxi, which I have played. It normally tells you if you're in the list mode. I've played 2 times, not for more than 3 minutes each time. Crazy Taxi 2, 0 times. It actually tells you if you can see it on there. Let me, 0 times. And then Shenmue, I think that's how you say it, which I was recommended but haven't played yet. Game Boy, 597 ROMs on there. Have I played one? No. If I was gonna play one, it'll probably be Pokemon or Super Mario Land. To find them, I have to go all the way through. There's games on here. Operation C, never heard of it. You've got Nobunaga's Ambition. Never heard of it, mate. Am I ever going to play it? No. And the worst thing about it is I've also got the RG35XX with all the same games on it. What is this? It's like an addiction, right? And I'm not having a go at people or myself. I'm just trying to raise a bit of awareness that if you ever regret buying these things, question why you buy them in the first place. Because the Retroid Pocket 5 was 300 odd quid, right? Basically 350 for me, including customs and import tax and delivery, micro SD card, etc. I started thinking last night, why did you buy that device? Because the 35XX plays all the way up to PS1. Now, it doesn't really support N64, GameCube, probably not Dreamcast. But will I ever play those devices? I don't know. I've also got a Wii downstairs, which is soft modded, and that's got all the N64 and GameCube games I could want to play on there because that's a GameCube Wii. So what am I doing? Well, the main reason I bought this is to play PS2 games, which work really well. So what I should have done is take the advice of that commenter and set up, like I believe they did, just the PS2 emulator. It would have taken 10 minutes. I would have fallen in love with this quicker. But I was so obsessed with getting everything on it. For example, with the Metal Gear Solid series. I'm so obsessed with it as a new player that I want to get all the games on all the systems right now, rather than completing Metal Gear Solid and then looking into getting a ROM of Metal Gear Solid 2, completing that, doing the same for 3. Then you get to Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3, which I do have in the cupboard, but that's going to be a physical game. I can't emulate that. I'm not even going to try the PS3 emulator on the PC. But that's not good enough. I almost like the hunt more than the actual experience of playing the game. And I compare it to people watching live streamers playing games. Sometimes it's more relaxing, easier, less stressful to watch someone play a game than playing the damn thing yourself. The other point to note is this hoarder mentality, because if you've got a 512GB micro SD card, you want to fill that with every game possible. But we can only play how many games at a time? Last I checked, it was 1. But we love it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the next time you're questioning yourself, thinking, what a waste of money, why did I buy it? Money down the drain, could have saved it for something else. When you do sit down and play it, whatever system, do you enjoy it? If the answer's yes, you're doing something right. How can you put a price on enjoyment? If we were smart about this, and I did read about it in plenty of forums, we would have got a smaller micro SD card. Upload 5 to 10 games at a time. Play the game, complete the game, delete the game. Add new game, rinse and repeat. Some people said, but I add movies to it. I add music to it. That's fine. But for people using it as a gaming device, you can only play one at a time. It's the same when we grew up and we had physical games bought for us. You might get a couple of games for your birthday, maybe 1 or 2 at Christmas. Only 1 CD can go in the drive. 1 cartridge can go in the hole. We're guilty of it with physical games. I've got a load of Switch games because the deal, I didn't want to miss out on it. A good deal, I bought the game, it's sat in my cupboard. Haven't touched it. I'm sure you can all relate to where I'm coming from with this. I hope so. It kind of makes me miss the good old days of having 1 or 2 games and just playing it till the discs were absolutely ruined. A strategy guide that was crumpled and barely stayed together because you'd read through it so much because all you had was 1 game. And these are the games that we are fond of. Not necessarily because it's the best game in the world, but it's maybe the only game we had access to. And that nostalgia is something that as you get older, I'm in my mid-30s, you cling on to like an absolute Rottweiler. And this is the point where I want to hear from you. Do you set up everything like me? With 1,000 consoles you'll never use? 2,000 games on the SNES, most of which you've never heard of and will never play? Or like the commenter, do you just set up 1 emulator, add a couple of games, play them? If you want to add a new emulator for a new console or another console, add it 1 at a time. What do you do? Let me know in a comment, like the video if you found it helpful, probably not, or entertaining, possibly. Subscribe, share the page, share the video, do all that good stuff. I've been Stu, the Yorkshire Retro Gamer. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.